maybe around Honeymoon Island as well. And I'm going to stop it from animating, and then we're going to put a time of arrival track on it to let you know exactly what time it's going to be arriving. So here it is. We're going to track the actual tornado, which is right there, and it's making its way to the northeast, again, at around 35 miles an hour, and it's just about 10 minutes from Clearwater Beach. So Clearwater Beach, get ready. Tornado is likely going to be moving your way. We don't have an official warning yet, but very soon from the National Weather Service, we are likely to have a warning as well. I'm going to go a little further to the south. This is another cell that likely also has a tornado. We're going to track the tornado part of it straight across Anclote Key towards Newport Richey. In 20 minutes from now, we very well could have a tornado moving onshore there. There's another cell with rotation off Homosassa. I'm going to do the same thing here and tell you when it's going to arrive. Tornadoes located here, headed towards Homosassa, likely to arrive there in 20 to 25 minutes or so. I'm going to switch this over to our base reflectivity, and I'm going to sample the winds inside of these tornadic thunderstorms. You can clearly see the rotation. There's a 76-mile-an-hour wind up against a 21-mile-an-hour wind. That means that at least aloft, the wind, you can add these two together, or at least about 100 miles an hour with that particular cell. I'm going to go a little further to the south. And by the way, Lee Span's here as well. I'm going to bring her into the conversation in a second or two once I just gather a little bit more data here. This storm is off Clearwater, it's headed to Clearwater Beach. It'll be there in less than 10 minutes or so. I'm going to query this and show you, looks like we got some even stronger colors now. Let's look at the deep shades of blue. Let's look at the deep shades of red and even the pinks there, 56 miles an hour. So if you were to add those numbers together, and again, this is not necessarily at the surface, but aloft, it is likely that we have winds, it could be as high as over 120 miles an hour with this particular tornado as it moves towards the coast. Again, still don't have an official tornado warning from the National Weather Service. And that other cell that's headed towards Newport Richey, that's much weaker than the other two. All right, so Lee, I want to bring you in on this conversation. The atmosphere is extremely favorable, and all of these cells show rotation, and we are likely to have tornadoes on land, on the beach, within the next 5 or 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, so let's give an overview of what the whole system looks like, because there's an area of low pressure in the Gulf of Mexico that a couple of days ago the National Hurricane Center was even keeping an eye on as a potential tropical system. So that's the kind of air that we're talking about, a tropical air mass. A lot of moisture, a lot of potential energy for these storms to tap into. Now look along the I-10 corridor. They're dealing with this sort of blanket of rain, which is wonderful news for them and their drought, and it also keeps them from getting as many severe or strong storms. You see this red box here that encompasses most of all of our communities. That's the tornado watch. So what that means is, okay, all the ingredients are there. Let's watch out for tornadoes. The stage is set. And now we're seeing embedded in that watch some rotation. So we knew that this was going to be a possibility, and actually we knew this was going to be a likely event. And you can really watch how there's no rotation up here where it's just a lot of heavy rain. But when you get these individual cells, like the ones that are moving to the north and east very quickly, now we switch back to Max Defender 8, and you can see that these are just off our shorelines and moving at 35 miles per hour. So that's why we went ahead and jumped on. I know it's sort of the middle of the night. We jumped on before tornado warnings were issued, so that if people are watching, which we hope that you are, and you're in these communities, you can take precautions, because these are not going to be EF3, EF4, EF5. These are not going to knock a house down, but it is going to blow those Halloween decorations around. It is going to bring tree limbs down. So if you're in these communities like Clearwater, Dunedin, Clearwater Beach, Palm Harbor, those are the areas where you need to be putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So, obviously you want to get away from winds. What Jeff is showing you here is we sort of taken everything out, taken all the rain out, we've taken all the reflectivity out, and we're just showing you where there is rotation. And we look for when we get those kind of maroon colors, that's a strong rotation. And if it goes into any of this orange or mustard color, that would be very extreme rotation. So this is the rotation that we're seeing in the strong category right now, just maybe 10 miles or less off Clearwater Beach at this point, and moving to the north and east at 35 miles per hour. So it should go to the north of the city of Clearwater, but that's going to put us closer to Dunedin, up toward Palm Harbor. Again, 5.5 miles offshore right now.
And it's headed right towards Caladesi and Honeymoon. If it hits Caladesi Island, there's obviously a lot less people there. But after it gets past that, we're talking Hurricane Pass and eventually towards the north side of Dunedin and Palm Harbor, like you said. So it is moving really quickly. But yeah, it's interesting where it is coming on shore. But clearly that's some really strong rotation there. And again, we sample the winds lawfully, and they're, likely over 100 miles an hour.
And let's go up to that one that's off the Hernando coastline, because this one and off Holiday, thankfully, not as strong. The reason this one pops out at us is because there's actually a lot of lightning involved in this. So the other ones don't have lightning. This actually looks to have weakened some, which is really good news, because at one point, well offshore, this one was actually the strongest. So you don't see quite as much of that maroon color as far as strong rotation. So that's good news, but there is a lot of lightning and there is still strong winds. So places like Chassahowitzka, Homosassa Springs, in the next 10 minutes or so, you're going to start to hear the wind. It's already going to be raining on you, and then all of a sudden you're going to start to hear that howling of the wind, because the winds are going to go from, just one level, which you're used to, all of a sudden it's going to jump higher. So that you're going to it's going to make a noticeable sound difference when it comes on shore. So the good thing is we're not seeing the rotation there. So the strongest one still remains off of Clearwater Beach right now, only 5 miles offshore. And you can see there are beautiful beaches there. There's Gulf Boulevard as you head up, again, from Clearwater Beach north toward the Causeway Boulevard there toward Palm Harbor. And this is not weakening much, and this is what we thought, unfortunately, was going to happen, because a lot of times when we talk about waterspouts, when they hit shore, they almost immediately fizzle out. Well, this does not look to be like one of those cases, because the whole atmosphere is energized enough that even when it leaves the low friction atmosphere over the water, where it can just spin and spin and spin, nothing's going to mess it up. Even once it comes on land, that friction is not going to overcome the amount of available energy for this storm. So it could still be rotating once it goes over the beaches and heading toward the mainland. So thankfully, it's still pretty rough up there off the coast of Pasco County. It looks bad as far as the reflectivity, which means it is torrential rain, but we're not seeing the rotation in it. And that also means that there's still some strong winds, just not rotating winds. So straight line winds can still do damage, so I don't want to discount them. Again, it's gonna sound really loud when it moves into your area, but we're focused in on the rotation that's happening right now. So we had 46 to mile per hour winds by about 110 miles per hour. We have a tornado warning now. Jeff, let's see where that.
It's a tornado warning for southwestern Pasco, northwestern Pinellas,
right where
northern
we were talking.
Hillsborough. Yep. So and it just popped up, and this is basically for both of those cells. No, it's actually for the southern cell.
Yeah.
Just for the cell that we were just talking about. It's about to move on shore around Caladesi and Honeymoon Island on the north side of Clearwater Pass and on the north side of Clearwater Beach. So if you're located on Clearwater Beach on the north end, you're most likely going to get hit by this. This tornado warning is in effect.
2:15.
That's right. And it is moving north really quickly here. The areas that they mention that this tornado could very well hit is Clearwater, and then eventually, if it gets there, East Lake and Palm Harbor at around 1:45 a.m. Then Holiday, again, if it holds together, Holiday, Keystone, and Beacon Square. Beacon Square is in Pasco County around 1:55 a.m. But we can clearly see the signature. We're going to be able to track this literally block by block for you. We're going to zoom down and tell you which street this particular storm is on. I mean, that's Mandalay Avenue, obviously. The storm is seconds away from making landfall along the coast of Clearwater Beach, and it's not getting any weaker, Lee.
No, it's not, and that was what we were concerned about, is that even it was so strong offshore, it has not wavered at all. So again, Mandalay Avenue, beautiful beaches here, of course, all those wonderful hotels. So we're hoping all of our friends who may be visiting are taking cover. So that is strong rotation in the center of this. and moving to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. So you can see the strongest rotation. I can tell you they're already wondering what's going on in Clearwater Beach right now because the winds just started switching direction. They just started getting a lot stronger. And now it's unfortunately going to continue to get worse, which is why the National Weather Service has issued this tornado warning until 2:15. So it's moving so quickly, it's going to cross over the beaches, then it's going to go back over the Intracoastal, and then it's going to make it toward places like Harbor View and Dunedin and Palm Harbor as it heads up to the north and east, holding together fairly well. I mean, they're giving it a 30-minute tornado warning.
Yeah, and I have to say, what's interesting about this is if we get really lucky here, this rotation is going to pass right over Caladesi Island, maybe just missing the northern part of Clearwater Beach. If you are in the northern part of Clearwater Beach, right near Caladesi, that's where you have to get inside a solid structure. You want to be away from windows. You want to be in a bathroom or a closet. It is likely that the winds with this particular waterspout, which will be a tornado soon, are around 100 miles an hour, and that can cause damage. So again, get inside, away from your windows, in an interior portion of your home if you live on the north side of Clearwater Beach. But Lee, we could get extremely lucky here and this storm pass over Caladesi Island where we don't have anybody. However, right after that, it passes over the Dunedin Causeway and it moves right into Dunedin and maybe Palm Harbor after that. So that is the strong rotation you see right there with the red. That is Clearwater Beach. Clearwater Beach, the residential area, ends right there. That's Caladesi Island. That's the causeway, the Dunedin Causeway, which leads to Honeymoon Island. And so this storm is likely, at least the tornado, may pass right over Caladesi. Again, nobody lives on Caladesi Island. But then there are people who live on the causeway here when you enter Honeymoon Island. So if you're watching us from there, you need to be inside your apartment building, inside your unit, away from windows, away from the balconies. And again, the next stop for this is going to be Dunedin and Palm Harbor for that particular cell. That's the tornado warning that we have out right now.
It's stronger. That rotation just got expanded, unfortunately, right before, again, coming on land in Caladesi Island, but still getting stronger as it gets closer to land is concerning.
I mean, I'm going to zoom in because it's so close to the very northern streets on Clearwater Beach. And let me actually stop this from rotating here and just have it stay. So this is our rotation, and there's Aurel Street, A-U-R-E-L Street, which is really the very northern part of Clearwater Beach, and there's Mandalay Point, and at that point north of there are no homes anymore. So this is a really close call. I want to switch this over to max defender rate reflectivity because there it is. Look, the tornado is actually in the bounded weak echo region. So notice that little green right there. So the tornado is actually embedded inside of the heavy rain, which is surrounding. You're not going to see it coming. This is a true rain-wrapped tornado right there. That's the tornado. And it is about to move over Caladesi Island, then eventually the Dunedin Causeway. Tracking in that direction, it would move into Palm Harbor to the north of the downtown.
So we have another tornado warning up in Hernando County.
Okay.
So that goes until 2:30, and it's for Hernando and Citrus County. It's the other cell that we were concerned about. Again, a little bit more broad here as far as the amount of rain. So it's not just a tightly compacted area, but where that rotation is, again, it's only 15 miles off that Citrus County coastline, and it's moving northeast, again, about 35 miles per hour. So I'm not as concerned about southern portions of Hernando County. It's more far northern reaches of Hernando County and all along the coast of Citrus County. Again, not as tightly packed as the one we were seeing so eloquently down along the coast off of Clearwater Beach, but still this is 13 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes from coming on shore in the Hernando County and Citrus County area. There's US 19. But let's go back to the one that's a little bit more on shore at this point, Jeff. Yeah,
I'm zooming in, and it seems to even be getting stronger. Yeah. I'm going to just stop it from rotating. I want to look and query at how strong these winds are. So it is moving on shore in the very northern tip of Clearwater Beach and over Caladesi Island. To give you an idea how strong these winds are, it's 80, 85, 100. Whew. All right. Yeah. So this right here is let me do it again. Hold on a second. Lots of stuff to click on. So There it is, 101 miles an hour. And on the other side of this couplet, if you will, there's 51. So it is conceivable that we are looking at something like an EF2 tornado here with winds over 100 miles an hour. Now, this is a loft. When we query these winds, the radar beams don't shoot straight, they shoot up that way. And the radar itself is located in Riverview. So we're looking pretty high up in the atmosphere here, but still the winds are 150 miles an hour up there in this rotation. So we likely have a strong tornado on the ground right now on the very northern tip of Clearwater Beach. We just got another scan, and it's weakened just a teeny bit. I'm gonna clear this because it's no longer valid, those queries. It's moving over the Intracoastal Waterway, and it's headed towards Harborview. Okay, so on the north side of Dunedin, let me zoom out, and let me track this for you. I wanna put a lapse on this so you can see exactly where it's moving. Let's watch it really closely. Folks, if you're located in Harborview, inside your home, away from windows, in an interior portion of your home like a bathroom or a closet, if these winds are truly over 100 miles an hour, and it's conceivable, this can cause damage. So you want to better be safe than sorry. Again, this is about to cross over the Dunedin Causeway. There's Curlew Road right there. There's Harborview. That is downtown Dunedin. So it's likely going to pass just to the north of there. Let me zoom out a little bit more for you. And also, I don't want to ignore you if you're in Palm Harbor. You are next, and eventually maybe East Lake as well. Lee, I'm going to have you take over for a second, and while I do that, I'm going to put a tracker on this because it's moving so fast. I want to alert people that are further away from the circulation, okay?
Yes, and because one of the things that we're noticing with this, it happened about 10:30 last night with a tornado warning in Sarasota, is that once this comes on shore, it stays together, which is a little unusual. That we're not as accustomed to that. We're used to these waterspouts coming on shore and fizzling out pretty quickly. But this is, notice, all the tornado warning goes all the way into Pasco County from off the coast of Clearwater because it's moving so quickly, it's not, and the atmosphere is ripe enough that it is going to continue to hold that rotation for much longer than what we typically see. So this is not just a beach event. This is now crossing over the intracoastal, and now we're talking about onto the mainland. So as far as the track is concerned, again, if this is moving northeast at 35 miles per hour, you just have 3 minutes or so before it's in that Harbor View area, and then you have 5 to 8 minutes for Palm Harbor at 1:59. You could be seeing this rotation in Palm Harbor just before 2 a.m. It could hold together enough to make it to Trinity. Now, by that point, it will have started to weaken, but those winds would still be rotating and would still be strong. Maybe not as strong as they are now, maybe not 100 miles an hour, but still Trinity. We're looking at an area where you could see big limbs come down, and we talked about it earlier, but all of the Halloween decorations can get picked up and moved around. So that's why we're asking you to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So interior bathroom, no windows, that kind of thing. If you're anywhere in this northern Pinellas, southwestern portion of Pasco County, also up into Hernando and Citrus County, again, not quite as concerned about that the immediacy because this one is already crossing land, crossing over Caladesi Island, Causeway Boulevard and Curlew Road. Again, a lot of people, a lot of beautiful homes, a lot of beautiful area here from Michigan Boulevard up toward Palm Harbor, and I believe that's, I don't know.
Ozona?
Ozona. No,
Yeah,
I was going to say that.
Ozona.
Well, I was going to say the street at Palm Harbor, but I can't.
Oh, it's hard to see that, yeah. It's hard to make that out. But by the way, Crystal Beach is just up here as well. Again, this is moving very quickly, and again, over a very populated area. We all know the area very well. We probably all spent a lot of time in this general area as well. So again, this is holding itself together. It still is a pretty strong rotation. I'm going to put the shear back on to see what we're looking at.
Wow, still
and yeah,
there.
it's still there. So again, Curlew Road, Michigan Boulevard, Brady Drive, Tampa Road, Belcher Road, up to Ozona and Palm Harbor. You know, this cell is holding together, and it's likely going to produce a tornado. We think there could be winds over 100 miles an hour with this. Also, I should say the National Weather Service is mentioning they may need a tornado warning for the cell off Pasco. Although, as of now, and I'm going to switch to reflectivity. Okay.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there it is, and it looks pretty good. Let me put this in motion. And let me also say something, folks. If you see anything, and you can do so safely, we could really use your information. If you hear something, you see something, send it to weather@wfla.com. I have my phone right here. I can check the email, weather@wfla.com. Your information, if you have good information about damage or about seeing the storm itself and where it's headed, please email me because I can relay that information to the viewers. Okay, want to get back to this cell because this is getting stronger and tightening up here, and we're going to track it for you. This is headed towards Bayonet Point right now. So it is about 10 minutes from the coastline around Bayonet Point. Again, not quite as strong as the other cell, but I'm going to query for you to give you an idea of just how strong these winds could potentially be. And again, this is not on the ground, but it's aloft. Those winds are closer to 70 miles an hour in total there. So this is a weaker circulation. And even the one, by the way, Lee, over Palm Harbor, that right at the moment is weaker than it was before. But there's Orange Street. As we zoom in a little closer, that's Tampa Road. That's right over Ozona. And the storm itself has now left the causeway and it's moving on land into Pinellas County.
Let's put back on the rotation to see
Sure.
if it has come back down some, because we do, it still looks like it's there, but those brighter reds and greens that we were seeing from the storm relative velocity are a little down, which means we're still rotating, but it's maybe not at 100-mile-per-hour rotation as we were seeing just offshore. But this is still a very dangerous storm. So anyone in the Ozona community, please, we don't need your video of this. You're not going to be able to see it anyway. It's super dark. Just keep yourself safe, and we'll let you know when you can come back out of your safe place. One thing you can do is just kind of crank up your TV really loud so you can still hear us, and then take that. You know, it's 10-20 minutes is all you're going to have to be in the bathroom for, or in the closet, or in the hallway, and we'll call you back out when it's safe. But we want you away from windows at the moment. And generally, though, some extremely heavy rainfall from again the intracoastal. All the way through to about US 19, and the tornado warning continues until 2:15, so another 20 minutes from now, because it is holding together and pushing up to the north and east so rapidly. Crystal Beach now getting into some of that intense downpour.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the hook is still there. The tornado may or may not have lifted by now, but I mean, talk about a classic hook signature. I mean, we can just follow this as it moved on shore. I'm gonna lapse this over the past 15 minutes just to show you what a tornado looks like on the radar. You can clearly see that hook over Palm Harbor right there. So the tornado, if there is a tornado being produced right now, is right along alternate 19. That's alternate 19, I believe. So right over Palm Harbor. Now it's headed towards Tarpon Springs and Eastlake, so on the south side of Tarpon Springs. And let me zoom in a little bit because I want to get some roads on here.
That's a Crystal Beach area.
Yeah, I mean, it's about to cross, pretty soon it'll be crossing over Alderman, and it looks like it's going to be right near Innisbrook. Everyone obviously very familiar with Innisbrook. Zooming in a little more, there's Lakeshore Estates. Let me stop this from animating so everybody can see where it is right now. So the heaviest echoes are on Crystal Beach, and the tornado itself, if there is one, is over Ozona. But again, this is headed over Palm Harbor right now. Innisbrook. I'm going to get some of the other streets on here as well. There's Alderman Road. Alderman, everyone knows Alderman. And eventually, this is going to be crossing over into Eastlake probably as well on the south side of Tarpon Springs.
Excuse me, sorry.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and there's Bayshore Boulevard and South Pinellas Avenue as well. So, yeah, this is a situation where we don't often see tornadoes quite this well on the radar here in the Tampa Bay area, but these are stronger tornadoes. We can only hope that they continue to weaken. We have seen some weakening. This, you can clearly see, let me just check one other thing and then we'll put it in motion for you. All right, I'm going to put this in motion over the past 30 minutes and I'll show you how this cell has weakened a little bit as it made it towards shore. It was strengthening, but now it's weakened. So you can see how it had the brighter colors when it was crossing over the Intracoastal Waterway, when it crossed over the Dunedin Causeway, and now that it's over Palm Harbor, it has weakened. If we can continue this weakening phase for the next 5 or 10 minutes, we may be okay. This may dissipate. But for right now, there's still a tornado warning, and rightfully so, because there's enough rotation for a tornado there as well.
To the other ones as well.
So yeah, so that one doesn't look as bad. This one is starting to move on shore again. Lee, like you said, not as strong as the other one, but clearly some rotation here.
Yeah, I mean, we always look for the red and greens to come together. The brighter the colors, the stronger the rotation, the stronger the wind. So Boulevard there. Let's see, we have another tornado warning until, let's see what that is for. Let's just
2:30 until, it's Hernando County and Pasco County until 2:30 a.m.
All right, so that must be that one just offshore as well.
Yeah, let me
so
zoom
we'll
down
go back
for
out to that one, because this one, again, is pretty rough in Citrus County right now, but now this is the other one. Remember, we told you there were 3 ones that we were paying attention to when the National Weather Service we're watching those same ones. Not as strong. The strongest one is still the Clearwater and Dunedin and Palm Harbor one, but there's still a lot of rotation in this one. It's just weaker. So it's going to be that same thing. The winds are going to start to pick up, and they're going to start coming out of the different direction. And you may start to hear some branches and things come down. It's only 5 miles off the coast now. I believe that's Pasco County.
Yeah,
US 19.
Minutes.
Yeah. Oh, 5 minutes.
Yeah,
okay.
and actually it's even closer now because we got a new scan. So let me just. So it's like 2 minutes from US 19.
Yeah, so it's basically onshore. So if anywhere west of US 19 in Pasco County, west of Bayonet Point, Old Dixie Highway, my goodness, that's a lot of people love this area, such an old Florida area here, and that rotation is starting to come onshore. Weaker than what we saw along the Dunedin Causeway, but still rotating. Let's see if we can go to that to the rotation to see if we can see again. Because we're always looking for the strong rotation for for it to be a more tightly compacted storm. Thankfully, we're just seeing the weak rotation, but it is still rotating, and the winds are still very strong here just to the north and west of Bayonet Point, pushing along the US 19 corridor all the way up toward Arapaika, and eventually this tornado warning goes into Hernando County. I doubt it would hold together because that long, but still for several miles inland, the storm slowly weakened, so it's still going to be dealing with the rotation and the strong winds well inland past US 98 here. This is the most northern cell. Thankfully, not as strong. It's a little more broad rotation. You see some rotation here. You see some rotation here. It's not so tightly compact, and we don't see the strong rotation, but it is still rotating. Yeah, this one here continuing along in northern Pinellas County, just holding together. So we told people at Innisbrook, we told people in East Lake, this was coming.
Right over Lake Tarpon now.
Yeah, and it is, and now it's going to go over a little bit of water, so it could actually re-energize itself.
It's going to be over East Lake soon. It's right on top of Lake Shore Estates on the east side of Innisbrook. It has just crossed over US 19, as you can see, and it's headed over Lake Tarpon right now. Just to give you an idea of where it's going, it's heading northeast, so it's headed towards Landsbrook Parkway and Bryan Lane on the east side of Lake Tarpon. That's Lake Tarpon. You can kind of see it in the blue right there. And then eventually this is going to cross over New East Lake Road area. Again, moving northeast at 35 miles an hour. So I'm going to put a tracker on this for you. Again, these are not huge tornadoes in terms of how big they are, so it's not going to affect a very large area. It may just be a block or two width, but still the winds could be up to 100 miles an hour in this. So let me put a tracker on, and then after I put the tracker on,
I also have some rotation over there near Carrollwood.
Yeah, I'll check that out right after this. Yeah. Okay, that's a good point. So let's just do that tracker, and boy, it's moving faster than I can even say, but. So, we talked about this before, but East Lake, it's moving through now. Trinity. There are some other towns in here, I think. Let me go a little closer in. There's East Lake Road. And so that's that particular cell. Now I'm going to check the other one, Lee, that you mentioned.
Yeah, this one didn't start as a water spout. This one, or unless it came off of the bay, because this is just a sort of on the tail end of the Clearwater one.
Yeah, I think that's kind of I don't think that's a real return in terms of like rotation there on the east side there. That's not likely. What you saw over Carrollwood, I think it'll probably disappear in the next scan that we get. In fact, there it is. It's gone. It's not even there anymore. So that's good.
Very good news.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so let's just recap at what we have, and I want to just make sure there's nothing, sneaking in from the south, and there isn't. So we have 3 distinct areas right now to recap. We have the storm over East Lake, which is likely producing a tornado as we zoom in if there is a tornado right now, it's right over Landsbrook Parkway. It's headed towards Bryan Lane. It's headed towards High Point Drive, and it's moving northeast. It'll be moving over New East Lake Road and eventually northeast of there into the northeastern part of Pinellas County, and then crossing over into Pasco into Trinity. If you're familiar with Trinity, there's Mitchell Boulevard, there's Trinity Boulevard. That's where that storm is headed. All right, a little further to the north, we have this other cell that's about to move onshore on the north side of Bayonet Point. That is US 19, and that looks to be Clark Street and Hudson. So if you've been to Hudson Beach, this cell is literally seconds away from Hudson Beach. I used to go there when I was a kid. I remember being there when I was like 13 years old. So I'm familiar with this area as well. This is headed towards US 19, and if it holds together, it'll cross over US 19. One last tornado warning to tell you about. This one, Lee, and I have to say, it just doesn't look like this held together. It's got a very broad circulation, but not necessarily a tight one. But clearly when we put it on velocity mode, you can see those heightened wind speeds there. So whether or not it's producing a tornado, it does have the strong gusty winds. You've been mentioning that all night.
Yes, and so even if it's not rotating, you could still have 70-mile-per-hour winds are still going to make a difference. It could still bring those tree limbs down and things like that. So we're still concerned about the coast of Citrus County, but not necessarily for a tightly compacted tornado, more of a broad wind event, which may end up impacting more people, because as Jeff said, I mean, a tornado may impact a couple of blocks, but a wide swath of 60, 70-mile-per-hour winds, well, that is going to do a lot more overall damage if it does create that. So again, more of a broad issue for Citrus County, more of a tightly compact issue for the northern portion of Pinellas County, and it does look like it is weakening. And it's just usually they weaken so much faster than this. Oh yes, thank goodness we have now lost that strong rotation. So it's still howling for East Lake Road and just north of East Lake, just south of Trinity, moving to the north and east along Trinity Boulevard and up toward Gun Highway in Pasco County. But the core of this, that strong rotation that was more than likely at some point, at least a funnel cloud, if not all the way to the ground as a tornado, that has dissipated somewhat. Now, again, we're still tracking. Okay, so
I'll tell you what I'm looking at here.
There you go. That's very interesting.
I'm looking at correlation coefficient, so I'm looking at the debris, and man, I mean, if this is true, this was a tornado on the ground.
Yeah, so
we're seeing that really deep blue shading, that is debris lofted into the air.
Yes, and so this is actually something a relatively new feature with dual pole radar, is that now we can see. It's basically looking for things that aren't rain droplets, something that is going to be an odd shape, and it's in the air, which unfortunately could be limbs, or it could be parts of homes, it could be shingles, things like that. It's literally looking for anything that's not shaped like a water droplet, and it's in the air, and that's what we're seeing right here through Palm Harbor. I mean, exactly where we track that strong rotation. So it could be, it could be mainly leaves, not leaves, but tree limbs and things like that. But still, that is a real indication that this was at least a funnel cloud enough to bring debris into the air. Yeah,
I have to tell you, I've never seen a signature like that here in the Tampa Bay area, at least in recent history. But again, this is something called correlation coefficient. It's something that allows us to see the debris lofted because it's able to tell the difference between small objects and bigger objects. And when it sees that that what's lofted in the atmosphere is not the same size, it knows that it's likely debris. And so, I have to say, we'll see what happens, but to my eye, at least, it's probably likely that we did actually have a tornado touchdown. I mean, I'm not surprised by that at all. We had the tornado warning. We could clearly see that there was a tornado likely on the ground. Whether or not it's still on the ground is tough to know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this again, and I'm going to put us back on reflectivity. So you can see there's still a hook.
Still looks pretty impressive.
And it's headed towards Trinity. So right over East Lake Road North right now, headed towards Mitchell Boulevard and Trinity Boulevard. Lee, I'm going to put this back on base reflectivity, and let me try
So there's New East Lake Road, and so we're sort of looking between that and Ranch Road and Laura Lane, and this is moving to the north and east. So it may actually end up, not necessarily coming through Trinity, more of the Trinity Boulevard, just to the east, Little Road, and up right where Pinellas, Hillsborough, and Pasco County all come together. This is looking like that's going to be sort of its trajectory just in that area, which would then put it heading over toward Gun Highway, very populated as far as homes and businesses along the Gun Highway community. Even if this is in a weakened state than it was, it's still strong. I mean, it's still strong enough. It's maybe not, it's not going to lift that debris up like we were seeing in Palm Harbor, but it's enough to bring some tree limbs down and things like that. And once again, the howling winds and any sort of patio furniture might be kind of pushed down. And then we keep talking about the Halloween decorations, because a lot of those were not really secured to the ground. They're just laid out in people's yards. So those may not be there in this communities when you wake up tomorrow morning. They may be well down the street if you can find them.
So we're getting reports from the National Weather Service of quite a few social media reports of water spout off of Clearwater Beach. One person saying a massive wedge water spout just off Clearwater Beach. This was not the case anymore. This is this particular cell, which has now moved over land. But when it was over water, there are people saying that they actually saw the wedge, so wide water spout moving over or just off the water onto Clearwater Beach. So I want to zoom out a little bit. And the rotation has definitely weakened a little bit, Lee, here. I'm going to put base reflectivity back on. You can clearly see that there is still some rotation and some strong winds, and this is about to move right over Trinity Boulevard in Trinity, Odessa, Gulf Pine on the west side of Lake Fern. So this is crossing over from northeastern Pinellas County into Pasco County. It'll eventually be crossing over Gun Highway as well, Seven Springs, so you get the picture. This is where the storm's located, where you see the green, and I'm going to track this for you, so let me zoom out a little bit. So we can track it to the northeast. If it were to hold together, and again, it's weaker than it was before, it would be moving over these particular areas right there, in that general direction. So give me 1 second, and I'll put the tracker back on. And again, it's not really that wide, so we're just going to track it in that direction. And again, Trinity 211, and if it holds together, Greenfield at 305. In the morning.
And let's check in on the other two tornado warnings, just because it looks like they are. I don't want people to think like we've forgotten about them. We haven't forgotten about them. They're just not as intense. Now, again, strong winds, but not rotating winds. So you're dealing with 70-mile-per-hour winds. It is rocking out there between Crystal River and Homosassa Springs. But the tornado part of it, the rotation part of it, has certainly subsided, and it's more of a broad area of just strong winds. Same thing for the one that's coming out of Pasco County into the southwestern portion of Hernando County. Once again, not quite as intense as far as the tornadic part of it, but still intense as far as rain and winds that are coming in pretty intense. But we go back now to the one that does have the rotation. So those are tornado warnings that are currently in effect. So if you're anywhere along the Citrus, Hernando, Pasco coastline, you certainly need to be on alert. Anybody basically west of US 19, even west of I-75 now in these communities, because as we zoom down into the one that's the most intense and the one that has held together the most, it is now coming out of Pinellas County. Again, made landfall, still holding together.
I mean, it almost seems like it's wrapping back up again, Lee.
So let's check back in on that rotation to see if it has come back, because again, we're always looking for that little notch, and we're seeing some rotation there. This is the storm relative velocity. Remember, we said the brighter the colors, the stronger the wind. So when it was starting to get a little more muted, we were thinking, okay, things are okay or getting better, and now it has flared back up just here at there's the boundary between Hillsborough and Pinellas County, and then of course Pasco County to the north. So they're pushing over toward that Trinity Boulevard area and then toward Gun Highway. But it is actually strengthening at the moment, and this is the same tornado warning that did bring what we believe is damage in the northern portion of Pinellas County. So this has had a history of producing damage and at least the potential, if not a tornado on the ground, enough wind and enough rotation to pick debris up and lift it into the air.
Yeah, so I'm looking on social media, and I could see the video of this tornado moving on shore, or at least not moving on shore, but see it in the distance off Clearwater Beach right now. which was a pretty big waterspout. To be able to see it in the middle of the night in darkness, that is rare. I want to show you this. So you can clearly see the hook right there, right over Trinity. This is called greens, not reds. This is an inflow notch. So this is where the thunderstorm powers itself. Essentially, wind is being forced quickly into this rotation and rotated around. So you can clearly see that rotation, and then this.
They just extended that warning to just now. You can see it on the radar.
Yeah, I mean, this looks as impressive as I've seen it, at least on reflectivity. This is our Max Defender 8 radar, which is a live radar. So we get constant live scans from this radar. We don't have to wait any time to get a new scan. That's the power of Max Defender 8 radar. And again, this is about as classically as it gets. This storm is right over Trinity, headed towards Odessa. What I'd like to do while we're talking here is put it back on velocity. And actually, you know, it may be a good idea at some point to also check in on. So the storm is located over Trinity and Gun Highway.
Yep.
On the west side of Odessa, Seven Springs, and on the east side of Trinity. Let's put a correlation coefficient back on there and zoom out a little bit. Clearly, this was a tornado that touched down.
It crossed over Palm Harbor into the East Lake community. So yeah, so let's slowly roll through. So that bright blue right there as it crossed just to the east of US 19. If you're anywhere between Palm Harbor and East Lake, unfortunately, you are out of the woods now as far as that storm has moved, but unfortunately, there may be you or your neighbors might have some damage reports from the cell, but now it has moved up to the north and east, and we're still dealing, you know, we don't see that bright blue anymore, meaning that, you know, the intense debris into the air, but it is still, it's still rocking some things out there.
This is from, and Amanda just relayed this to me, and the new tornado warning is for a confirmed tornado located near Trinity moving northeast at 30 miles an hour. So this is no longer just a radar indicated tornado. It is a confirmed tornado on the ground in Trinity. We can see it on the radar. I'm not surprised by it, but up until this point, until someone actually says, yes, a tornado has touched down, we have to rely on the technology and the radar, which clearly shows this is a tornado, but now we have a confirmed tornado that is on the ground in Seven Springs and Trinity. There's Starkey Boulevard, there's Gun Highway, this is Odessa, there's Trinity Boulevard, this is moving northeast at around 35 miles an hour.
You know, and we were showing the debris detector or and the National Weather Service can now confirm a tornado based on that. For many, 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 many years, it had to be, eyes had to see it for it to be confirmed or for them to go out and check out the debris afterwards. But with this technology, if there's enough debris in the air, the National Weather Service can say it's either or, that if it is a confirmed tornado or not, based on that debris or based on someone literally seeing it. And I think basically now both have happened, because if we had that social media video of the wedge waterspout coming on shore in Clearwater, that's a confirmation. That would confirm that it is a tornado.
This was in fact confirmed by the public as well.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yes, and then
wow, and it's look at this new scan that we just got in. I mean, this is really wrapping up. It's even stronger than it was. This is about the strongest echo I have seen in many, many years here in the Tampa Bay area. And the fact that it's remained as strong, if not gotten stronger, as it moved on shore, and now it's many miles inland, and it seems to be regenerating and getting even stronger, Lee.
Yeah, and you know, if you go back a couple of hours ago, we were saying this would be the case because this, you know, normally our waterspouts do come on shore and weaken, but there was so much energy. We call it potential energy. It's just sitting there with the potential to be tapped into. And that's what these storms are doing. They're tapping in to the potential energy, and it is feeding off of those at this point. And so we knew that there would be the potential for, once the storms tapped into that energy, to hang together. It happened down in Sarasota about 10:30, 11 o'clock last night, where several miles inland we were still dealing with very strong rotation. But this one, I mean, we're talking a long way for it to actually be regenerating, re-tapping into the available potential energy that was sitting in Pasco County, and now it's tapping into that. It's not just using the water from the Gulf of Mexico. It is tapping into the actual destabilized air in Pasco County to regenerate itself. So Odessa community, certainly please stay in your safe zone at this point. The Suncoast Parkway, that's a really good landmark. A lot of people use the Suncoast Parkway there. So this is going to be moving to the north and
so
east.
Lee,
yes.
Just getting a confirmed report from a ham radio spotter of a tornado on the ground near Keystone Road near the Pasco-Hillsborough County line. Okay, that's probably a couple minutes ago. And here's another report coming in. Roof of single-family home ripped off near El Dorado and by Esplanade in Pinellas County.
Wow.
So again,
yeah, that's
for
right
the folks,
where we were looking.
So again, roof of single-family home ripped off near El Dorado and by Esplanade in Pinellas County. So there is confirmed damage now and a confirmed tornado on the ground in Trinity, moving northeast very quickly. So it's exiting Trinity now. It's about to cross over the Suncoast Parkway, by the way. And there are communities here, not extremely populated like the area it was over, but there are in fact some roads here and some communities here. Like I said earlier, I was in this area or this general vicinity earlier today. There are a lot of ranches in this area as well. Again, this cell is moving northeast pretty quickly. At last check, it was like 30, 35 miles an hour. So I'm going to animate it for you to show you the direction that it's moving. Again, the cell is just as strong as it was, and it's going to be moving over the Suncoast Parkway probably in about less than 10 minutes or so.
That tornado warning goes until 2:45, excuse me, and it's going to cross over 41 into Hernando, coming out of, and eventually maybe even tapping into Hernando County, because it's not necessarily weakening rapidly. So even if it's not as strong when it gets over, 41, it's still going to be somewhat of a potentially strong storm.
Yeah, let's check this other storm out. This one looks like it could still have a tornado, and we're located right over Hernando Beach. Again, not as strong as the one to the south, but certainly showing rotation. I'm going to query this to give you an idea of how strong the winds are. Again, these are winds aloft, not necessarily on the ground, but there's enough of an indication here that we do have rotation to indicate there could potentially be a tornado around Hernando Beach on the south side of Weeki Wachee, about to cross over US 19 and Forest Road in that particular area. Again, not as strong as the rotation that we saw to the south, but there is, in fact, some rotation there, and you can see that indicated by our shear product right here, right on top of Hernando Beach, Lee.
All right, yeah, let's go. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that one, but I also want to go back to, to the one that is continuing to hold its own. I mean, keep in mind, this is miles away from when the first rotation, and we've been watching it for miles offshore. So again, one cell that holds together and spins all the way from way out in the Gulf of Mexico. Now we're talking about central Pasco County. The same rotation, the same cell that rarely happens in our area. All the ingredients really have to come together perfectly for this to happen, unfortunately. And for those like the single family home that has had some roof damage in the Trinity area and in northern portion of Pinellas County, we feel really bad for them, and we hope that they were able to get it all fixed very quickly. But we're still dealing with the potential of at least some damage, and we're still watching that hook here. I mean, anytime you look at the reflect. Okay. Just gonna go get some rest. We got Amanda Holly is in, and she's been tracking this sort of behind the scenes now for quite some time. So what did you just do? Did you just change the coloring on this?
Yeah, I was able to actually show that this warning, this tornado warning that we're looking at right now, is a little bit different than the other warnings because, again, we were just talking about it being a confirmed tornado warning, and that does indicate that we have eyes on the ground that have seen this tornado. It was confirmed by the public. So that is indicated here by the different color of the warning. So it's just a different point of view, if you will. It's supposed to stand out to you a little bit more because this is a confirmed tornado. A lot of times we will have these red boxes, which we do have, indications that there are rotation there, but not necessarily confirmed on the ground, either by someone seeing it or we can detect it with the debris in the air as well. But this particular tornado, we not only had debris show up on radar with that that product that we have, but we have also had eyes on the ground. This was confirmed by the public. So it does continue on. We do continue on to see this hook. Again, Jeff and Lee have been talking about it all morning. This is a classic radar signature for a tornado. We don't get that very often here in the Tampa Bay area. So this is a little bit more of a dangerous situation for you. If you are in the path of any of these tornadoes, you really should be taking precautions, moving to the interior portion of your household, putting as many walls in between you and the outside as possible. There's a lot of things outside right now. One, the ground is dry, and two, a lot of Halloween decorations outside. So even just some strong winds are going to blow some of those around, and you want to head inside as soon as you can and stay inside until the warning has passed your area. Northern Pinellas County, you guys are in the clear. That obviously that tornado that has been confirmed is off to the north now, solidly in Pasco County. Newport Richey, Bayonet Point, you're not included in any of this. If you're along the coast in Pasco County, you're not in any danger at the moment. The tornado warning that we are looking at is about to cross over the Suncoast Parkway between Seven Springs here and Land O'Lakes Boulevard. This is the Suncoast Parkway here, and this is the area where that tornado is actually on the ground right now, crossing over the Suncoast Parkway. And again, these storms are moving off to the north and the east pretty quickly at about 35 miles per hour. So it's not long, but it is a quick process that it happens. The winds pick up, it gets really loud. You'll hear the things rustling around outside, and then the winds calm down a little bit after this passes. But until it does, you do want to be inside an interior room of the house. Now, once it passes over the Suncoast Parkway, we're looking at Cypress Bay Parkway and this community there that is near the Land O'Lakes area for that tornado to pass over if it continues to be on the ground. But as Lee and Jeff have been saying all morning, it does look like, this isn't actually weakening. Sometimes we see these cells move on shore. They lose that energy from the warm water, the friction from the ground, and that helps to weaken them a little bit. But there's just so much energy in the atmosphere right now that these storms that are forming are certainly taking advantage of the energy in the atmosphere, and we are certainly seeing that come to fruition with 3 active tornado warnings on the ground right now. So that the northernmost warning that we are looking at is up in Citrus County. Crystal River, you guys are in the clear with that warning. That actual area of rotation has moved onshore. There's still a little bit of an area of rotation, at least some stronger wind gusts within this. Again, here's Crystal River, here's the mouth of the river, Kings Bay, and the rotation is off to the east of this. It's actually about to cross over 41 here. If you're north of 44 and right along that 41 corridor, you still want to be in an interior portion of your house. Again, this is the Citrus County warning that we are looking at. Again, these cells are racing off to the northeast. Then we'll check in here on the Hernando County tornado warning. Now, again, this is just inside Hernando Beach. Here's Bayport, here's Hernando Beach, and these cells are moving inland. So this area of rotation that we're looking at is about to cross over 19 and 50, where those come together here, headed right toward the Spring Hill area, if it holds together. But the 2 areas that we are watching in Citrus County right now, and then the one in Hernando County, both are a lot weaker than the cell that we've been continuing to track, that large water spout that was spotted offshore, moved onshore in Pinellas County in the northern section of Clearwater Beach, then moved through the Dunedin area, the Palm Harbor area, East Lake, and now we're still seeing these brighter colors on what we call velocity. This indicates the wind speeds and the direction of the particles, those raindrops and any debris that's in the air. It indicates the wind speed and the direction that these particles are moving, and this tells us that there's still rotation on the ground here. So it does look like what is happening with this cell, it looks like it's pumping up a little bit and then weakening a little bit, and that's very typical of some stronger tornadoes that we sometimes see, where it will strengthen a little bit and it'll be a stronger storm for several minutes, and then it will pulse down a little bit. So we just saw that with that new scan that came in. Those brighter colors kind of went away as it crossed over the Suncoast Parkway here. But like I said, if you're in Land O'Lakes, just north on Land O'Lakes Boulevard, just north of downtown Land O'Lakes, that's where we're looking at for this center of rotation to cross over. So if you're in Drexel Road, if you're in if you're in Erin Cemetery Road, if you're in Gun Highway, this is all to the north of you. But if you do live to the communities north of Drexel Road, near the Land O'Lakes Boulevard, that's where this rotation situation currently is at the moment. We'll kind of clear everything out. This is our rotation and strong winds product. Lee and Jeff have been showing me this all morning as well. And particularly something that I noticed right off the bat with this scan that just came in is we're not seeing any more of those reds that just came in as well. And it's a little bit more dispersed. So that's good. That's good news because that means we're not seeing the strongest winds at the moment. Now, could this pick up on some available energy in the atmosphere and continue to get a little bit stronger over the next few minutes? Absolutely. So if you're still in this tornado warning, if you live along 41 north of Land O'Lakes, downtown Land O'Lakes, you will want to stay in your in the safe room of your house, interior rooms. Put as many walls in between you and the outside as possible because it looks like the National Weather Service did actually truncate this warning. So that means Odessa, you guys are in the clear now, and then it is looking like it is going to continue off. They do think that this tornado warning, this tornado could actually still be on the ground. Now, latest scan just came in here at 2:28, and it does look like we are seeing that strengthen just a little bit. Again, we're starting to see a little bit more of those reds popping up. So Lee, just kind of giving everyone an overview of what's going on. I just got in. You've been here for several hours with Jeff. Jeff's been here all afternoon tracking all of this, and we're not done with this just yet.
No, and again, that is a little concerning that we saw a red or a stronger rotation pop back in here just east of the Suncoast Parkway. But this is a cell that has had a history, unfortunately, of damage. And we had our crews sent out to Clearwater ahead of this storm. And now we have some live pictures of the damage in Clearwater. Again, this is the first images that we're seeing. And this, remember when we talked about that debris that was elevated into the air? This is what we're talking about. This is very unfortunate. Again, this is at the Esplanade and East Lake. Is that where this is, Brian? Okay, so this is where this is, and those were streets we literally called out. So we hope that everyone stayed safe because, again, when we were able, there's a porta potty down. Let's see what else we can see. When we knew that this cell had such potential, but we were tracking it to the street and told you that East Lake and Esplanade, that was an area we were begging people to get into the central portion of their homes, and this is the reason why. So we've got looks like the Clearwater Police there, kind of checking everything out. We appreciate their first responding, their fast response to this because this literally happened 15 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago now. And hopefully they're going door to door, kind of checking in on all these neighbors, seeing what kind of damage each part of this neighborhood had. Anywhere between where this is in Clearwater and all the way up to Palm Harbor, we may be seeing images like this. So again, these were streets that we called out live during while the storm was passing over. So we're hoping that we were able to give people the warning that they need to stay safe because this is what can happen when you have 60, 70, 80, 90. At one point, we were checking in at around 100 mile per hour winds, and that just can decimate small homes and things like, not small homes, but parts of homes and bring things that were once inside outside. And there you can see it looks like siding draped over the power lines there. This is again for the first images that we were seeing of this here at 2:30, but this happened about 2:10, maybe a little before 2:10. Amanda, this is so sad.
Yeah, this is that original water spout that moved on shore there in northern Pinellas County. And, it did look like a very strong area of rotation as it moved on shore. So, yeah, we were certainly seeing that on radar. It does look like we have damage. Lots of tree limbs down. It looks like the firefighters, the first responders, they're going in probably to check in on residents and, areas in this area where they're going to walk up and down the streets. Look at that big tree limb snapped. It looks like that tree just completely snapped in half there. So that indicates to us that those strong winds certainly came to fruition there. A tree looks like it came at least close to a house, or at least looks like it toppled over just away from the house, but that root came very close to the house as well. So they're just going to continue. This is going to be an all morning long. I'm sure this is just going to be the first few reports that we do get of damage because of the debris that was detected on on radar. Now, that storm not in this area anymore, and we're not looking at any storms at the moment moving into this area, so those first responders will have some time to check this area out before any new threats do pop up. So that's some good news. They'll be safe as they are walking around there and checking in on residents and surveying all of this damage. And that does look like what we're looking at there. It's kind of hard to tell. Maybe a boat.
Yeah, maybe.
It looks like a tennis court there.
Okay.
This is again in the northern section of Pinellas, northern Colorado and by Esplanade in Pinellas County. This was actually a damage report coming in from a ham operator to the National Weather Service. They were able to relay that information to those first responders there in Pinellas County, and that's how they have been responding so quickly. We got that report coming in. That came in at 2:18, and just about 20 minutes later here, not even 20 minutes later, those first responders on scene checking out. Lots of lawn furniture thrown around, and that big tree that we saw come down. And that's kind of what I'm worried about as we go through the day today, because we're going to see these storms continue. Right now, we're just watching 3 individual particular cells, but it does look like we're going to see showers and thunderstorms continuing throughout the day today. That is a pool there. Looks like all of the lawn furniture has been thrown into the pool. That's actually, not a terrible place for it, because, it's not coming out of the pool anytime soon. So
we did just get another tornado warning, so we'll come back to this. We really appreciate our photographer at the scene giving us, really firsthand look. So we have the tornado warning that continues, that prompted that damage, now moved into Pasco County, and then the last tornado warning now coming into the northern portion of Citrus County, so just along the US 41. So again, around the Bevins community, Pine Ridge, Beverly Hills, this is moving to your north and east. It'll be moving out of the Citrus Springs community and out of our area, but it's pretty intense. Yeah, they just reissued that tornado warning. So we want to give some, let our friends in our northern viewing area know that around the Quarry Way, Harrison, Bevins, North Nature Trail, Seacole, Felicia area. There's rotation in this, and so it's pretty intense as well. Not as populated area as down in Clearwater Beach, clearly, but it's an area that we are of course concerned about. We have many people who live in these areas, and we want to make sure that they stay in the interior portion of their homes as well. Again, this is going to be moving out here at 15 minutes. Give it, and then you can come out of that safe spot because this is thankfully moving so quickly. But that's the northern portion of Citrus County. So our viewing area where people can no longer hear us, this will be moving into that. So thankfully, Crystal River, Homosassa Springs, you're now in the clear. The last tornado warning for most of our viewership now is right over US 41 in central Pasco County. And this is the same cell that caused the damage that we were just looking at firsthand with the first responders in Clearwater Beach. The rotation has really held together. And as Amanda said, this pulses in intensity and then comes down, and then it pulses in intensity again. So whenever you see these brighter colors, that's certainly an indication that is in a pulse up way. So there's some strong winds. The rotation overall is still there. Maybe not as tightly compact, but the rotation is there, and certainly the strong wind. So there's Secretariat Road, Pasco Trails Boulevard, right just along US 41. Tracking to the north and east. So it'll be tracking into central and then even northeast portions of Pasco County. Just exemplary as far as what a cell can do. Because Jeff and I had been watching this when it was still 40, 50 miles in the Gulf of Mexico. So the fact that this one cell has held together so well just bodes of how much energy and how was available for these storms to be able to tap into. I'll move. Okay, here it is. So Riverdale around 3:07. So that's actually about 30 minutes from now. So again, moving toward Dixie at 2:56. So in about 20 minutes. But there's plenty of areas. This is the I-75 corridor in the northeastern portion of Pasco County. 98, I don't think it's going to quite make it there. But Leesburg at 3:56. So again, it's moving so quickly, but it's these communities that we're more concerned about between 41 and I-75 in Pasco County.
So it does look like we are getting some new information into our weather center right now. More reports of damage, actually. And this is up in Citrus County near Crystal River, 2 miles southeast of Crystal River. Emergency management reported a tornado at US 19 and West Ford Island. Now, again, this is past, but this is that tornado that we've been possibly tracking up in Citrus County. Again, the emergency management did report a tornado at US 19 and West Ford Island Trail. Roof damage and power lines have been reported down in the vicinity. So if you're in that area between US 19 and West Ford Island Trail, don't leave your homes. We do have now reports of power lines on the ground, which is never a good thing here. Again, this is the tornado warning that we've been tracking up in Citrus County, which is now moving just on the border of Citrus County, moving out. However, damage has been reported in the Crystal River area, 2 miles southeast of Crystal River. So please stay in your homes. This warning is going to continue as it moves out of the News Channel 8 viewing area, and the North Central Florida television stations will take this over. But for now, if you're on North Lily Drive, Harrison Bevins, North Nature Trail up in Citrus County, right near the border of Citrus County, you will want to stay in your house, stay inside your house for several more minutes. If you're in the Citrus Springs community, if you're in Pine Ridge, Beverly Hills, you are in the clear at this point from that tornado warning. Citrus Hills, you are also in the clear up in Citrus County. That tornado has moved on. It does look like it is going to be on the border and moving out of Citrus County here over the next few minutes. But again, we're seeing those brighter colors re-popping up with this system. So this is also a cell that we're seeing kind of pulse up and down. This one kind of pulsed down a little bit as it moved on shore, then picked up on some of that available energy in the atmosphere and pulsed right back up, got a little bit stronger. And it's been doing that as it has been crossing the county. Now, this is Denellen here. If you're in downtown Denellen, right on the border of Citrus County there, you're in the clear. The rotation is just to the southeast of you here in this area. This is 41, and it is now moving away. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. But again, the damage report just coming in from US 19 West Ford Island Trail. Roof damage and power lines have been reported now on the ground and in that vicinity. And that time estimate was at 2:12 that it actually happened. So that was a while ago. Again, the actual threat for weather is no longer. That tornado has moved out, but the damage reports are coming in. Also does look like we are getting in some more damage reports in northern Clearwater Beach, kind of the similar area where we do have photographers on the ground. We were showing you that live shot earlier of the actual damage. First responders just getting on scene. Our photographer was also surveying that damage with them, kind of following along and seeing what they were seeing. And there is a lot of damage up in the northern Clearwater Beach area. Lee.
Yeah. Well, we want to get back to that because it is, to have a photographer there as those first responders are also walking around. Again, so we are seeing this quite literally as neighbors are seeing it as well with them. So it's you can see looks like there might be some sirens, some fire trucks. You can see the flashing red lights in the background there. But let's see. All right, so we got wow, look at that tree has really been snapped there. I mean, that's what when you have 80, 90, 100 mile per hour winds, which is what we were tracking. This is the kind of damage. And of course, when trees come down, they smash just about anything in their path. And that includes that screen, that door there, that all the root system has to come up. I mean, these huge root balls that live underground, when they come out, anything that's on top of them or nearby also gets pulled out of the ground as well. So now we're seeing all the parts of that tree that has come down. I believe this is a parking lot of more than likely some sort of either apartment building, condo complex, or hotel at this point, because we just saw the pool and the tennis courts and things like that. So we're clearly at some sort of facility that has really taken the brunt of this damage. And again, when Jeff and I were asked about 1:30 this morning, where should we send our crews? We said send them to Clearwater, and unfortunately that has come to fruition. But I'm glad that the Clearwater police were there. Now they're able to help this community, help these neighbors. The fire trucks have arrived to make sure that anybody can be taken if any you know, if anybody needs any first aid and things like that, because we're hoping, what we hope is that because this was an area that we highlighted specifically in the northern Clearwater Beach community, that we told people maybe hopefully they were in their bedrooms asleep, you know, or somewhere where they were able to hear those warnings, get into those interior portions of their homes. I just don't know what. Is that it says it is a porta potty. Okay, that's not a great thing to have turned on its side at this point. But so I mean, you can see this damage is pretty widespread. I mean, Jeff and I were saying it wouldn't be with these types of tornadoes. You know, it might be a couple of blocks, and that car took one of the took a brunt of something that came down. It looks like those are that's not. It looks like that wood is not. Trees. It looks like that's some sort of structure that came down and actually hit that car. So it probably came off of the house where that car is parked. You can see the siding there. This is pretty intense, and you know, you probably go 2 blocks over and there's no damage at all. So you find these areas that get hit so hard when the storm had pulsed up and was producing 100-mile-per-hour winds, and then, you know, as it moves along, it kind of hops and skips, and so there may be, you know, the next block over could be completely intact, Amanda.
Yeah, that's kind of how these systems work. Luckily, we don't typically see very large, wide tornadoes that do large areas of damage over a long period of time. This particular situation, our atmosphere right now, a little bit more primed than it typically is, and typically than we've seen in a very long time as well. That's why we did get reports. We've seen some video on social media of this this water spout that was out over the Gulf of Mexico and then moved onshore, and it does look like the brunt of the storm actually moved onshore in that northern island of the Clearwater Beach area. But then obviously this area, the Mandalay Bay area, certainly saw some of those outer effects of this tornado, and there's just so much damage. Lots of little tree limbs around, which is, you know, typically expected, but we're also seeing kind of, what is that, siding or maybe roofing that looks like there was some construction going on in this area, and those construction cones are everywhere. The signs from that road work were down, and that looks like a house there in the background, with a lot of damage right in the front. Not sure exactly what that structure is on the ground. And then, oh, look at that. There's some damage to the top of this house in this area. So lots of damage. This does look like we're just getting the first images here of this, and it does look like it's going to be certainly a story as we go through the day when the sun comes up, which is still a long ways away from now. And again, we're not done with the severe weather threat either, but we are looking at this being an area that got hit particularly hard. And remember, we were showing you the actual debris on air not that long ago with those different colors that showed up on radar, because our radar actually has the ability to detect debris. It has the ability to detect the differentiation between a raindrop and what might not be a water in the atmosphere. So we were able to detect, excuse me, some of this debris in the air. So that means that these structures were damaged and the debris was lifted into the air, into that tornado, and dragged across northern Pinellas County. So this was a very large tornado, very strong tornado that was able to actually not just throw the debris around, but able to pick it up and travel it across northern Pinellas County. So you can see the first responders, the police officers there walking down the sidewalk, just looking at all of this damage from the tornado that moved through, I guess about an hour ago now, Lee.
Yeah, and that cell, again, from the Gulf of Mexico over Clearwater Beach, where we're seeing that, but now it has continued to hold itself together, and now that they have extended that tornado warning from central Pasco all the way up into Hernando County until 3:15 this morning, meaning this cell is still holding together. It is even intensified in the last 10 to 15 minutes, it appears here, as we look at storm relative velocity. You know, we're always looking for the reds and the greens to come together, but we're also looking at the brightness of those reds and greens, and they have gotten into almost that hot pink color there with the red, which is unfortunate, because that means that it is still intense winds moving to the north and east. So this So this one cell, you know, we tracked it from 30, 40 miles out in the Gulf of Mexico as it made landfall, making the damage you see on the left side of your screen, and now holding together through central Pasco County, and all signs point to holding together as it passes just to the north and west of I-75 in Pasco County into Hernando County, and that tornado warning goes until 3:15. Right now it is located about 7 miles south of Hernando County Airport, or 10 miles to the southeast of Spring Hill, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. That's another reason why this is all holding together so well. It's tapping into this, all that potential energy we talked about, but it's also moving so quickly that it's not really having that much time to weaken.
And it does look like that warning did change, Lee, from a confirmed tornado warning to that regular red box that we typically see, which is good news here. However, that just means that we haven't had eyes on the tornado in some time. So the National Weather Service has to then go back to, that tornado is certainly still possible on the ground, which is why they're continuing that warning. We're getting pretty close to the I-75 corridor now as this races off to the north and the east. Dade City, your phones might have gone off. You're not technically included in the warning here, and you should be in the clear as this tornado that could, again, still be on the ground tracks just to the north of you. But just so you know, you're not technically included in that warning. St. Leo, same story. You're right on the edge, so your phones might have gone off, but the threat itself is just off to the north of you. And what we're going to see and hear, it's going to get gusty. You're probably not going to get a lot of rain because this tornado, this cell that we're looking at is very classic of a tornado. So we've got a lot of rain right before the tornado hits, and then the actual area of rotation passes over you. But St. Leo and Dade City, you guys are certainly not included in this warning. You're just going to be to the south of it. But you might be hearing some rustling going on. The winds might be picking up, but that actual tornado is going to be passing off to the north of you. But here's 98, here's 75. And again, this tornado is making its way off in this direction. So we are going to be tracking this still as it moves on the ground. It does look like it's going to hold together as it moves into the central/eastern sections of Hernando County. So this started off in Pinellas County. It's moved through central portions of Pasco County, and it's now going to be making its way, really crossing the I-75 corridor, at least paralleling it for a few minutes here. It does look like it's going to pass over, we'll say, some streets for you, so you can certainly get out ahead of this storm and make sure you are in an interior room of your house. So this is where the tornado is on the ground right now. If you're on Bay Head Road or anywhere in that area around that street, you will certainly want to be in the interior room of your house, be in that safe room. If you're on Church Road, and that would be right in the southern section of Hernando County, this is the border right here of Pasco and Hernando County. But if you're on Spring Lake Highway, again, it does look like it's going to pass over that. Spring Lake Highway, Church Road, Hickory Hill Road, Hayman Road there, Baton Road. If you're in Colbreth Road and Baton Road, you probably still want to be in that interior section of your house. But certainly Church Road, where Church Road intersects Spring Lake Highway, Hickory Hill Road, same thing, and Powerline Road as well. You certainly want to be in that interior section of your house. Blanton Road and Amberley Road as well. St. Joseph does look like the actual center of rotation is just going to pass just off to the north of you. I want to take a really zoomed out view and show you kind of what's going on. We're going to put our regular, what you're used to seeing on radar here, back on the screen, because this is not something right now that's impacting our entire area. What we're actually looking at is just a few cells that are mainly now north of Hillsborough County, north of Polk County, north of Pinellas County. We're talking about Citrus, Hernando, Pasco County that you're seeing some of these spotty storms and the current tornado threat. And you can see this is all kind of moving off to the north and the east. And there are some more cells out over the Gulf of Mexico. This is going to kind of train in this moisture line here. Right now, I'm not seeing anything particularly concerning with these cells that are out in the Gulf of Mexico, but you did see that orange box pop up at at the end of the loop. That's a marine warning that the National Weather Service has issued because these storms have the potential to then move into this atmosphere as they approach the coastline and pick up on some of that energy and begin to rotate. So nothing's concerning at the moment, but we're not really done with this severe weather threat just yet. It's all a part of a big system that is kind of crossing just to the north of us. It's an area of low pressure. We got a lot of tropical characteristics with it, meaning there's a lot of moisture. It's very humid outside. It's gusty. And even outside of these storms, we do have a lot of wind gusts. It's kind of gusty at times, but we are seeing a lot of energy with that system as it's moving across the state tonight. Tomorrow, we're going to get a little bit of heading in through the rest of the day today, because it is now Thursday. We're going to see another line of storms come through, and that threat for severe weather is going to continue. So just because you might not have seen anything just yet doesn't mean you won't. We will have more storms on the way throughout the day today. But just wanted to kind of give you an overview of what we've been watching. Am tracking some stuff just to the south of us and watching this cell here in Highlands County, central Highlands County right now. Nothing concerning at the moment. The only two actual warnings that we've been tracking, the Citrus County warning has now officially moved out, so that's some good news. And the only active tornado warning in the Tampa Bay area, our viewing area where you're watching us from, is currently in just on northern Pasco County, making its way into Hernando County near that I-75 corridor. We're also talking about that Spring Lake Road corridor between 50 and 75. So that's kind of where we're watching the threat for that rotation. This is the same tornado that we have been watching that damage, those damage reports coming out from northern Clearwater Beach. And it does look like this rotation has held together very well, which again is just kind of unusual for us here in the Tampa Bay area. We don't typically see these strong tornadoes hold together this far as they make their way onshore. But the weather pattern that we're in right now, and that we could see continue through a lot of the winter, that does look like it is possible for these what we call long-tracked tornadoes, even larger tornadoes with some of those stronger wind speeds. Earlier, Jeff was showing you that the radar was sampling some of those wind speeds at over 100 miles per hour in just one direction. So this certainly was a strong tornado earlier. It certainly could still be a strong tornado on the ground, making its way across the Hernando-Pasco County border right now, just near the Blanton area. This is the current area of rotation that we're tracking near Bellamy Brothers Boulevard, Bayhead Road. That's that rotation, the pinks and the greens. That's that rotation that we look for. This is indicating direction for us, wind direction and those particle direction, and the colors together mean that we are seeing those opposite directions. When you have opposite directions next to each other, you get that rotation. That rotation is going to kind of pass over this Church Road area here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So again, make sure you're just in that interior room of your house, putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible. This has a history of producing damage, so we want to make sure you guys are being safe in the path of this possible tornado. Powerline Road, Lockhart Road, that is headed in your direction over the next 5 to 10 minutes as well. Mossstown, it would be a good idea to just go ahead and be in that safe spot in your house for the next 5 to maybe 15 minutes here as this warning continues. Eventually what will happen, just so you know, is if it holds together here, it's going to cross and kind of parallel I-75 for quite some time, making its way toward the Bushnell community, but then it will be out of Hernando County, and then we'll be able to kind of take a little bit of a break here, because it does look like the cells that we're tracking out over the Gulf of Mexico, not looking too concerning, just zooming in on a little bit of a couple of these cells, little bit maybe of some very weak rotation right there, but it's possible that these cells kind of tighten up as they move on shore. So for the rest of the night, all day on Thursday as well, you're going to want to have a way of staying weather aware. The WFLA weather app is free, and it will alert you. It will alert you to your location if there is a tornado warning in effect for your area. Make sure you have those alerts on, the sounds on, and have a way of it waking you up, because right now it's in the middle of the night, right, folks? A lot of people sleeping out there. We don't want the winds of the storm to actually wake you up. We want the alert to wake you up so that you have time to get into that interior portion of your house. But right now, The only threat of the tornado that could be on the ground is currently crossing the border it's going from Pasco County into Hernando County. And then the rest of the rain that we're tracking out there right now, probably some gusty winds embedded within it. But at the moment, that is the only actual warning. So the areas that are seeing some of that damage, and we're going to continue to watch some of this as well, the damage reports coming in, we're going to continue to watch this. We are going to continue to keep you updated, Lee, with all of the information that is coming into the WFLA Weather Center.
Yeah, and I'll let you kind of look at that for a second. So pull it where we can see the area of low pressure. Can we see the whole satellite and radar view of the southeast? Because this is interesting that it was an area of low pressure that at one point the National Hurricane Center had kept an eye on for potential tropical development. That's why it feels so tropical out there, is this pulled up just a ton of moisture, a ton of tropical air right out of the south. This area of low pressure now, of course, not going to be tropical, but it is bringing a significant amount of a blanket of rain across North Florida. Now, a blanket of rain is great. It is because it keeps the air a little bit more, the atmosphere a little more stable. So there's not as likely at getting tornadoes or strong, severe thunderstorms. We're on the southern side, so we're not getting the shield of rain, which we actually could really use a big blanket of rain, right, to help with our deficit. But it allows the atmosphere to destabilize, and you get these tiny, what we call discrete or isolated popcorn type thunderstorms that pop up and push on shore. And because there's not a lot of rain around it to cool and stabilize the atmosphere, those storms just continue to feed off all that moisture, all that available energy that we keep talking about. So northern portion of the state, they're dealing with more of just moderate rain coming down, nice soaking rain. We are not dealing with that, unfortunately. So you see that red shading, that's the tornado watch, which was actually just issued maybe 2 hours ago or so, because it's saying like, yes, all of the ingredients are in. Let's watch for tornadoes. And we are seeing those clearly. What may happen as we head through the evening and overnight, the morning hours now, what has happened is that we had twisting in the atmosphere. We had southwest winds, again, pushing these tornadoes on shore like this, coming from the southwest, pushing to the northeast. But in the northern parts of the upper parts of the atmosphere, winds are moving in a different direction. Pretty soon now, as this area of low pressure gets closer to us, everything is going to come out of the southwest. So the twisting with height is going to lessen as we head through the rest of the morning. Could we still see these discrete popcorn type thunderstorms that develop? Yes. But the rotation is going to have a harder time because everything's going to be moving in the same direction. Going even further into the future, this cold front is going to be coming through here tomorrow afternoon. Nope, that's this afternoon. Today is Thursday. You'll have to excuse us when you start on one day and move to the next day. So Thursday, today, is going to be a very windy day. When you wake up and get out of your house, go ahead and take as many Halloween decorations down as possible, because a strong wind out of the southwest, I mean, we're talking, sustained at 20 to 30 miles per hour, maybe gusting up to 40 miles per hour. And that's not with the thunderstorms. That's just the blanket of wind happening because this cold front is going to come through. So there could be some embedded strong thunderstorms Thursday afternoon to this afternoon when the cold front comes through, but it'll be a little different scenario. It'll be associated with a cold front rather than these storms that sort of pop up in this very unstable, very juicy atmosphere. So again, cold front, here's this warm front, it lifted over us. That's why it went from feeling like fall 2 days ago to feeling literally like August now, because moisture, humidity has all pulled into our area. And we're still dealing with a couple of those tornado warnings. Again, the one that's out of Citrus County, they just extended it now further out through the Ocala community and farther to the north, so out of our viewing area. So places like Orlando will be taking over, telling them what's happening. But we just still have the one. We can zoom back into it now, Amanda. I was just kind of giving everyone what's happening and what to expect if it's not actually raining at your house right now. It still could. It's never going to be this shield of rain. It's never going to be this blanket of rain, unfortunately, which we could use, but passing downpours will be possible. So again, this tornado warning until 3:15, so another 15 minutes coming out of Pasco County. I'm really seeing it right now on that line between Pasco County and Hernando County, just to the west of I-70, actually just on I-75 right now. I mean, again, this is at 3 o'clock in the morning. There's still plenty of people traveling along I-75, so hopefully they're being safe. These cars aren't getting buffeted around too much at this point. So there's State Road 50, I-75. This is in Hernando County. Again, a lot of people traveling up and down I-75, and this is going to move to the north and east. Still moving pretty rapidly, right? I'm at like 30, 35 miles per hour.
35 miles per hour. That's how fast these cells have been racing off to the northeast. Getting some new reports into the National Weather Service and into the WFLA Weather Center here as well. Some reports of that power line down again up in Citrus County from that cell that we had there earlier. The threat for the weather is over, but the damage reports are now coming in near the Highway 44 area. Possible power lines down in that area. So again, if you're in these areas that have been affected by possible tornadoes, if you've been in a tornado warning at any point this morning, make sure you're not outside. Make sure you're not venturing out to look at any of this damage, because the power lines are possibly on the ground, and you certainly don't want to drive over those. You don't want to drive through any flooded roadways there where power lines could actually be on the ground as well. So it does look like this area of rotation continues. Right now it is actually into Hernando County. So we've been kind of calling out the communities where the threat for the actual tornado is over, and it does look like Miller Road, Darby Road, St. Joseph, the Bayhead Road area that we were looking at earlier, the Bellamy Brothers Boulevard, Darby Road, Amberley. You guys are now in the clear from this possible tornado that's on the ground. It's now, again, racing off to the northeast. Here's Church Road. We were calling out that earlier. This is that Springs Lake Boulevard Road, and this red road here, that's actually Highway 75. It's Interstate 75, and it does look like it's paralleling it right as we were just saying it would, as it continues to move off to the northeast with this whole kind of line of cells. Now, if you were in the tornado warning and you're still hearing and feeling rain and gusty winds, that's because there's still some more rain on the way behind it. So this rain is going to kind of train through the areas that we're under that warning, but what we're looking at is the area of rotation, the threat for that tornado to be moving off right over 75 right now, kind of where 75 crosses 50 and paralleling 98 at the moment. But it does look like it's going to continue through past Hernando County now, and then move out of Hernando County. Also wanted to give you a heads up, the National Weather Service, we're again continuing to keep an eye on the chat with them. They kind of keep an eye on and let us know what they're watching, because they're the ones who actually officially issue the tornado warnings. So we continuously keep a chat with them going, but they are also watching this cell now off of Hernando County, just away from Weeki Wachee and Chassahowitzka. This cell right here, where the mouse right here, it's offshore at the moment. It's not over land by any means, but it is making its way toward land, and what we could see happen is it could strengthen up as it does so. We're going to be watching that closely. No active warning. It's currently over water, but just wanted to give you a heads up. If you are in the coastal section of Citrus County, right on the border of Citrus and Hernando County, you'll be watching for this cell to approach that coastline. Even if there's no tornado warning, it does look like those winds are going to get kind of turbulent as that cell moves onshore. And then, of course, we are watching all of the cells that are offshore at the moment as well. Do we still have our live picture from northern Clearwater Beach that we want to go back to?
Yeah, because this is just, we do it, and we continue to see in this one block, it looks like sort of this whole area, trees have come down, structures have been damaged. And Amanda, I think you nailed it earlier. This was some sort of construction site, because we had 2 porta potties that had been turned over, plenty of the cones that you see there. So
yes, we're getting that confirmation that it was a construction site. Looked like some road construction in that area.
Okay, and so and that's unfortunate because home construction, because then again you have a lot more less secured parts of a home that's not developed, that's not finished being built yet. Then a lot of those pieces can unfortunately come loose, and that's what we saw earlier. And then those pieces of the home that come apart end up hitting other parts of the home, other homes, other cars, and things like that. So certainly the first responders are here. They've already got, they've already been doing the surveys, hopefully talking to the neighbors, making sure that everybody did stay safe. But I mean, clearly, trash cans are down. This is going to be a big cleanup for tomorrow. And remember what I said, that we could see just sustained 30 or 25 to 30 mile per hour winds tomorrow. So all these little pieces of tree limbs and things like that, they're still going to get pushed around all day today. I know I keep saying tomorrow, and I do apologize. It's all day today, which is Thursday. So there will be, the cleanup is going to be made a little bit more difficult because of the continued strong winds. It's going to be hard to kind of keep everything back together. You put a pile of debris together, but then you have a 30-mile-an-hour wind that blows it back apart. So we'll be keeping a close eye on this community all morning long. I was just talking to our newsroom and saying if we were any other place that might have seen damage would be just a little bit farther to the north and east of there. So again, if this is in Clearwater, northern portion of Clearwater, it would be to the north and east of there, because the cell that caused this held together and moved to the north and east and headed just to the, it headed north of Dunedin, close to Palm Harbor, close to Innisbrook, and the East Lake community is where we tracked that cell moving across to the north and east on the northern side of Pinellas County, and then eventually that pushed into the the northwestern portion of Hillsborough and southern portion of Pasco County. So if you're in that northern Pinellas area around Innisbrook, and you can now, because you're pretty safe at this point, if you wanted to take a gander out around your neighborhood and see if there's anything, you can always email us those pictures at weather@wfla.com. Again, it could be there might be some rain coming down right now in the East Lake community. But it doesn't look like it's tornadoes, or it might still be kind of raining on you in those areas. But again, sir, once you feel safe, please look in your area and let us know if there's any damage anywhere else, because this looks really bad. And we knew that the 100-mile-per-hour tornado could cause damage exactly like this, and for it to hit a construction zone where we already have a lot of unsecured building materials, unfortunately, this is what we're ending up with.
Yeah, and we are getting a couple new things I wanted to bring to everyone's attention here, getting a couple new damage reports in. This one, again, is up in the Crystal River area. Emergency management are reporting that debris is blocking the roadway on Highway 44 in Citrus County. The damage looked like it occurred at 2:15, so again, the weather threat is over at the moment for you in Citrus County, but we're reporting the damage at this point, and it looks like Highway 44 is blocked from debris. Also getting reports of some power lines down in that area. Also wanted to bring to your attention back on radar. So we're continuing to track the actual tornado that did the damage that we were just looking at the video from, but I was just describing the rain that is going to continue behind that area of rotation. But it does look like on the tail end of this training band of rain, we are starting to see a little bit more rotation. So it's not currently a tornado warning here, but I wouldn't be surprised if over the next couple of scans, if this holds together, the National Weather Service issue a new warning. So again, just a little bit of a new area of rotation trying to pop up here. This is in between Swift Mud Road and 5A Junction, and this is the same area where that first rotation kind of passed over just about 10 to 15 minutes ago. So we are going to keep an eye on this. It does look like we're seeing some of those brighter reds, the brighter greens, indicating some of that rotation. Again, not an actual warning at the moment, but it is popping up on our storm relative velocity, which means, again, we're looking at the direction and the wind speeds in this area. And it does look like it is passing over. Let's just zoom it in to try and get you a street name there, and it doesn't really want to pop up. But again, this is the same area, the same general area where that rotation just passed over about 10, 15 minutes ago, just to the north of Swift Mud Road, Bellamy Brothers Boulevard. So just so you know, just kind of hang out in this interior section of your house for the next several minutes as that kind of moves on by. Again, we'll let you know if the National Weather Service actually issues any kind of warning on that. National Weather Service also, and us here in the WFLA Weather Center, watching this cell that's right offshore at the moment, but right on the border. It's just offshore from Citrus County and Hernando County. This is Chassahowitzka. This is Homosassa Springs. Ozello is just to the north of here. This area of rotation. Right now it's marine warned, which means there could be water spouts in this general area as these cells kind of pass over, but National Weather Service and we are watching this area as it gets a little bit closer to that shoreline. If it holds together, wouldn't be surprised also if a tornado warning was issued, and it would be moving into that Homosassa Springs area, crossing 98 within the next 20 minutes or so. We'll continue to keep you updated on that. That's what we got with the latest. Wanted to give you an overview of kind of the current warnings and the other things that we're just keeping an eye on. We're constantly scanning radar right now, because any of the cells that are developing out there, and again, I'll put the regular rain, what you're used to looking at on radar, back on the screen. This is Max Defender 8 radar. We get a new scan every minute. That's how fast we get updates with Max Defender 8 radar. But with any of these individual cells, they do have the potential to kind of pick up on that available energy in the atmosphere. With the system crossing the state, that area of low pressure, there's plenty of available energy in the atmosphere for these cells to kind of pick up on. So this is the active tornado warning. The cell looks like it's just just passing over I-75 in interior sections of Hernando County, and it will be exiting Hernando County within the next 10 minutes. But any of the cells that you see there on your screen do have the potential to at some point pick up on that energy and strengthen and then possibly rotate as well. So we're keeping a close eye on every scan that comes in, because again, we do have that atmosphere that is primed for this